welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friends. First of all, we got Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. To my left, to my right, we have Anthony Amato. We like to call him Shamato. And down further to my left, my man Applezack's Zach Markham in the building. Gentlemen, good to be with you guys tonight. We are excited to have another wonderful episode of the Royal Geek Podcast. How y'all doing?
Doing well. You know, it was a long week, so I'm glad to be able to get down with you guys and, you know, start digging into our content.
Yeah, it's been a wild week. Not only is it, it's a Marvel review, right? But we've had our fantasy football draft is tomorrow, and all week has been chaos with our dynasty league. It's been pretty wild.
Nice. Well, my week's been crazy as well. Been looking forward to this podcast since the start of the week, so happy to be here.
You almost died like twice.
Yes, but I may not be here next week.
What our listeners and viewers don't know is that the last two episodes, we have come in here and heard a story about how Markham almost died.
Yeah.
Literally 2 weeks straight.
2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Might be a third next week.
How many lives do you have left is the real question, yeah.
Hopefully it's 9 like a cat, you know.
Dude, for real, I'm scared for you, bro.
Yeah. Get better. Get well soon.
Yeah. Do better.
Man.
Do better.
Love it. Big shout out to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, all of our fans, all of our friends, everybody who tunes in. We appreciate you guys so much. If you could, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen or watch, because you can now find us on YouTube and watch our videos. No big deal.
Yeah, that's right.
We are officially on YouTube now.
Yeah.
So check that out, and follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook. Believe it or not, we're still on Twitter.
That's right.
Yeah,
there.
We're there. So follow us, interact with us, and help us to make this show a whole lot better than it is. Although I think it's pretty cool, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So we're going to be reviewing episode 2 of She-Hulk tonight, which was titled Superhuman Law.
That's right.
Yep.
Yes.
You got it.
That is correct.
I got it. Superhuman Law. So we're going to be reviewing that tonight. This is your spoiler warning if you haven't checked out episode 2 of She-Hulk. Do not proceed any further. Pause this video, go watch it. Pause this podcast, go watch it, and then come on back. All right, boys. Superhuman Law, She-Hulk, episode 2. How you guys feeling?
Meh.
Yeah, it was. It just seemed like there was a lot of just moving along type of stuff. There wasn't anything that was super like interesting or compelling about this episode.
To be honest,
interesting.
It wasn't super at all. Right when the episode, I thought it was like it was about to get going. That was it.
The episode was over.
Episode's over, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah. So we probably should address the fact that, and we've known for a while that this was going to be a longer season with shorter episodes, and it was going to feel more like a comedy, not necessarily like a sitcom, but it really could fit in like a 30-minute window on a TV station, right?
Yep.
On a TV channel. Like it really could. So it very much feels like a 30-minute comedy series. And for the most part, people thought it was pretty funny. Have you guys enjoyed the humor?
Honestly, no, not yet. I mean, there's been a few. Any of the fourth wall stuff has made me chuckle, but as far as like the writing, I feel like the writing has been pretty weak so far in the series, and I've been a little disappointed so far. So we'll see how the episode 3 wins me back.
Yeah, I feel like there's been like like you said, there's been some moments, but there hasn't been anything that's been like cracking my side, except for, of course, the one moment that we've been harping on with the whole Captain America situation. Yep. But other than that, it's been just it's been decent so far, but there hasn't been anything. It hasn't been super mind blowing on the comedy levels or anything like that.
Yeah, same. Comedy's been dry. Honestly, the writing's been kind of dry. I don't know like what direction they're trying to go in with the episode. There's been some scenes that's been pretty interesting, like Banner like on the ship, like going somewhere. Where's he going? But at the same time, like, is that it? Is that all we're gonna see of Banner like in the episode?
Yeah, I feel like that is, even though it looks interesting, I feel like that was hey, this is the last time you're gonna see him type of scene.
For sure. That's how I felt.
Unfortunately,
to me.
If anything, that's setting up like Planet Hulk or something like that. Yeah.
Typically, when a character goes into space, that is them saying goodbye for a little while.
Yep.
That's been the Marvel's
typical
rule.
Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part. So, Okay, so everyone's kind of generally down on
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
Yeah, are you gonna bring us up? Or
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot.
Go for it.
So, again, I think it's tough, right? Like, Marvel, once again, is doing something it's never done before. Like, this is they have advertised it like it's going to be a comedy. So they're not saying this is WandaVision. They're not saying this is Loki. I don't get the feeling that the draw for this show is the mystery like we had in WandaVision, Loki, Moon Knight. I don't think it's like the win is the action like we had in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yep.
I feel like the win for them, and they might not even know, they're trying to do something that they've never done before by having a shorter episode comedy series. And so far we've got two. And what's tough about that is when you have short episodes, like you have short episodes. There's less time to kind of develop the plot.
What's going on.
So far you've had an episode that was literally the origin story,
Yeah.
which is
Correct.
great. We said that last week, how we were excited that they finished that.
Yep.
And then this is like the next day. Like she literally like gets fired from her job,
Yep.
and we see her struggling to get a new job, and then she gets a new job with what is it? Man, what's the name of the company?
GLK and H.
and H, GLK and H.
Yep,
what
that's
were
what
you
it
going to say, Markham?
The name.
Holden Holloway.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So Holloway approaches her in the bar and gives her a job, and you see her internal struggle of dealing with like the morality of, or not even the morality, but the position they put her in. Like they want her to be She-Hulk while she's a lawyer, and that right there is like a big thing. Like her identity, like she was defiant in episode 1
Yeah.
with
Very,
her cousin
very
Bruce.
much so.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm a lawyer. She has mentioned, I think twice, I did not get all these student loans to, all the student debt to just be a superhero.
Yeah, and it'd be one thing if they just wanted her to do superhuman law, but not only that, they want her to be in She-Hulk form the
Right.
entire time that she's doing it.
Right.
So that's an extra, like, it would be one thing if they were like, okay, you're superhuman, so you know what it feels like to be that. So we would like you to practice law on behalf of people who are superhuman or are affected by superhumans. That would be, to me, that would make a lot of sense. But I feel like the twisting of the knife is the whole she has to be in She-Hulk form while doing so, because that makes it seem, and she states it as well, that it makes it seem more like that she got it mainly because she was superhuman, and that she's almost maybe kind of like a sideshow.
Well,
Yep.
before he offered the job, he did say you impressed me because your case was
Yeah.
won until I appealed it for the distraction or whatever.
Yes.
right?
Mistrial,
So
right?
like he did kind of say that her skills were the reason that he wanted her, but he doubled down on it, like, well, but we want you to be She-Hulk the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, so he was kind of giving a compliment, but also making her do something she didn't want to do at all.
Well, how much would he have actually divulged if she hadn't just stopped him and said, fine, I'm going to take the job? Like, maybe he would have been straight up like, hey, but you have to be She-Hulk the whole entire time. Because he was going to give her more information, but she chose
that's true.
not to get any of that information before she accepted a job. So in my mind, that's kind of on her. Because who knows?
totally on her.
Like, he may have been like, you know what? This is the stipulations that you have if you want this job. And she may have not been at this moral impasse of like, well, I already took the job, but now I don't like something that was in the stipulation, which I probably would have gotten if I had actually been paying attention.
Yeah, and I think that she took it out of, well, obviously she took it out of desperation.
Yes.
With, the fact that she's facing rejection
For
from
sure.
from all these other different law firms. And then on top of that, I feel like it has to do with her her life status with her family.
Yeah.
So like she can't handle being at the bottom. She has like the certain status with her family. At least that's the vibe I was getting through the episode, where like her competition now is like it's her cousin or something, like
Manager for Best Buy.
Manager for Best
Yes.
Buy. Like that's her competition now. Like he's winning because she's unemployed.
Yeah.
So she had to take that job out of desperation to get herself back up until that social status.
Although the way I saw it seemed like there was a lot of pressure that she was putting on herself.
Correct.
Her family didn't seem to be all that much like she steps in the door and they're like super pitying her or
Right.
they're like super like judging her because of this fact.
Correct.
It seemed like a lot of this pressure was stuff that she was putting on herself
Yep.
that she felt like she had to show out to her family.
Correct.
Rather than truthfully them putting that extra pressure on her.
Right.
Well, that's exactly what insecurity is, right? Like
I mean,
you
yeah.
putting all the pressure on yourself.
Yep.
whether it's actually there or not. Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to make the case that the writing, I'm not going to say it's the best writing in the world. It's certainly not. But, I mean, you guys are coming in kind of strong saying the writing's been kind of weak. In my mind, like, they've developed the plot and furthered it along in 2 episodes, and I don't feel like we've got a dud yet.
Well, when you advertise it as a comedy, I mean, writing comedy is a skill. Like, the best comedies out there, like, the writing is so, like, ingenious, right? But they're, like I said, they're advertising this as a comedy. If they didn't advertise it as a comedy, then I wouldn't have put too much emphasis on expecting that in the writing.
Yeah, what I would say is you got to pick a path. Like, you either have to be, like, all the way to the edge funny, or you're going to have to be driving the story along.
Correct.
Like, so you can't have, like, this middle road where you're funny a little bit, and then you're sort of driving the plot along, and you're just, like, you're not really choosing a lane here, and you're just kind of straddling that, that white line,
And so what do you think they've chosen a path so far in 2 episodes?
I would say they haven't really. I feel like they've had moments where they've had jokes and things like that, but they've been a little bit slow on driving the plot in my mind at the moment. I'm not saying that they haven't been moving the plot along and that they haven't had jokes. It just seems like they don't really have a path yet.
Yeah, I feel like they, like, towards the end of the episode, they kind of established, like, sort of like in the way that they want to go with, like, Emil Blonsky and everything in his Abomination. It looks like that we're definitely going to get Wong in this, probably a lot more than what we were thinking. As far as it going in that direction, I don't know, like, how much they're going to focus on that one scenario, though, or if they're going to open up, like, another door and go another direction along, like, with Abomination and stuff like that.
Man, I'm shocked right now. I think you guys are being hypercritical. This is crazy. Like, I think they're developing the plot perfectly fine at a great rate.
You think we're a part of the toxic Marvel fandom right now?
Yes. Okay. I think this is proof that, and I've said this before, that Marvel fandom is becoming a lot like Star Wars fandom, where it's just super diabolical in, like, every online discussion board where everyone's super opinionated about, and they'll say talking points about the other side, you know what I'm saying, like, all the time.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's like, again, if they made a She-Hulk movie, you would see the whole picture in a night.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
you won't be just evaluating, like, oh, Act 1 of that movie was, I mean, some people will, but most people aren't thinking of it like breaking down a movie. But when they have a show, when they make a series, it's episodic, and it's great for us because we get to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
It gives us a chance to have commentary for each episode, for each chapter, if you will. But we're nowhere near the finished product here. So to say, like, the writing's weak, they don't have a direction, I'm seeing progress. Like, she's got a job now. She's had to deal with, like, her first case. She's had to wrestle with if she's even going to do that case. She had to meet Emil Blonsky. That was a fascinating conversation. Like, we need to talk about that, by the way.
Yeah, that was.
We do need. Yeah, that was probably the most interesting part about the episode.
There's a ton more depth here, is all I'm saying. So I think you guys just need to sit back, relax, and give it a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think, give it a shot.
I mean, we're all going to give it a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm definitely watching next week's episode.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be
Good to
saying,
know.
yeah.
You're contractually
you heard it here,
obligated.
folks. We're watching it again next week. All right, let's talk about Emil Blonsky.
Yeah, what a setup, right? First off, she's told to be She-Hulk the entire time as a lawyer.
Yes.
Right.
And when she goes to the Supermax prison, you can't.
No superpowers.
No superpowers. And then she shrinks back down.
She's probably like, thank God.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the then meeting him and she crosses the line, the alarms go off, that whole thing. I mean, I thought that was all very interesting about the max security, just seeing inside.
Yeah.
And then the guard talking her up on the way in, like, don't do this, don't do that, like that kind of stuff.
Sign here.
Yeah, sign here.
Sign here.
Sign your life away, pretty much. But
Yeah.
and then the conversation they had I thought was very intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely brings up some questions, and I mean, along the lines of what is a superhero, what is a villain in this form, and also, like, of course, it comes down to, like, the baseline of idea of how much you believe what he's really saying.
Yeah.
Like, it brings up some, like, real things, but it's also like, how many of these real things does he actually believe, or does he actually care about?
Yeah, I think they also did a pretty good job too, like, making it where like it's all about perception. Because
Yeah.
how many villains think that they're the villain in their situation? I mean, there are a few, but for the most part, the villains think that they're the hero
Right.
through
Yeah.
their eyes.
Everyone's the hero in their own story.
Correct. Correct. So I think this did a pretty good job like laying that groundwork where like, you know, he was this decorated war hero assigned
yeah.
to take out
Yeah.
an enemy. And then now it's flipped. Now the enemy is this decorated superhero and avenger, you know, all this stuff, and then he's locked in a prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was fascinating because I was kind of sold in his point of view. He was just doing what he was trained to do with the government, and then he went on, and she's like, "Well, what about the Harlem? Like that was all unsanctioned by the government." But he's like, in his eyes, he was doing what the government trained him to do and told him to do.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that the serum was partially messing with his brain,
Correct.
which is a very like
the government gave him.
Gave him
serious-
serum.
yes, that the government
Yes.
gave him, that they made him to be better, or they were supposed to be made to be better, and you know, I wasn't in my right mind. Like, I mean, you could very much
Yep.
get into that. You know, somebody who's, you know, been taken over or controlled, you know, by these extreme
he
emotions.
thought he was going to be
Or-
Captain America.
Or
Yes.
like, what if you like turn the tables? What if Captain America turned? You know,
Right.
what if
Yep.
what if that whole situation like Captain America like turned evil because like his head was messed with?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
or what about with what Hawkeye did? I mean, it's very, very similar to what happened to Hawkeye in the
Avengers.
first
First
Avengers
Avengers.
movie, if
Yep.
you think
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
In the sense that he wasn't doing something out of his own want. He was doing something because of somebody,
order, yeah.
somebody taking control of his mind. And, you know, Hawkeye was basically immediately forgiven.
Yep,
You know?
that's true.
fair point, because he's American,
Oh,
That's
right?
yeah. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah,
right?
essentially, we're talking about a British. He's British, right? Isn't that what it is?
He's Russian-born, but a
Russian-born.
British operative.
Okay. Yeah, Russian-born British operative, and you could see my favorite part of that whole. Well, one of my favorite parts of that whole conversation is you can see when she realizes she has a case.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The,
Yep.
light,
She's like-
the light goes off. Yeah.
She says, "Wait a minute, the U.S. government did this to you? Like they're the ones that gave you this serum?"
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like I was like, "Oh!" I turned to my wife and said, "She's got her case.
That's
it's
it.
good. Like
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
ready." And sure enough, like that's what she said to Holloway later. She's like, 100% got a case. We're gonna crush it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a fascinating. And you know what? Like the Incredible Hulk is nobody's favorite Marvel movie, right?
No. Yeah.
But as I was remembering it, it's like, you know what? I remember vaguely, I say vaguely, scenes where you could tell like Emil is doing this, but he doesn't feel like sure about it,
Yeah,
Right.
right? Like he was conflicted in it, right? Like where you could even feel like he knew he was being used, he knew he was being manipulated.
Unsure. Yeah.
Very
Yep.
unsure. So it makes me wonder, like, okay, is he genuine there? I mean, everything he said to her, is she genuine? Or is he genuine? What do you guys think?
I mean, it's really hard to tell.
He makes
because
a case,
is
though,
he is a very like shady type of character in that sense. And I kind of think of, is this partially setting up for the case against Jamila Jamil's character? Like, because I feel like her potential case could set up to where it's kind of a very similar situation where she was just trying to get back at, an organization that had wronged her as well.
right.
And it's kind of Emil Blonsky's kind of saying her case while actually stating his own case. So I think there's a possibility that could play out throughout this season as well.
Yep. I'm going to say that it's genuine just because of the fact that Wong is involved. So right after this episode, I go back and I watch Shang-Chi. And that scene where they're in the Fight Club and everything, and they're having that fight or whatever. And then at the end of that, when they're in the locker room, Wong is like, basically like coaching him. Like, I thought we talked about that, that right hook, this and that. It seems like Wong is trying to help him through whatever he's going through, making him a better person. And I don't think Wong would do that for somebody who's not going to be genuine or.
That's a great point.
Yeah, or
Great
has
point.
like other motives and that sort of thing.
I really do hope we get a better explanation of what was actually happening. Like,
Yeah.
how did Wong get involved with
Right,
Abomination?
Right.
Well,
Cool fact too is like when he made that portal to like go back like to it was the prison like
Yeah.
in Shang-Chi
you can
like
see that.
yeah the portal
Yeah,
it's the
good.
prison. which was pretty
Well,
cool. So
this is what I think. Like she goes and it's like she's like, "How's the rage and everything like that?" And he's like, "Oh, I got it all under control." Well, I think the way he got it under control was by doing Underground Fight Club, where he gets to unleash his rage. And Wong was a big driving force on the ability to do that. Based on, I don't know, maybe the Sorcerer Supreme Wong. Maybe he's trying to rehabilitate powerful beings for imminent threat that's coming.
Maybe one of two things. Maybe he can do something similar to what the Ancient One can do now, in the sense that like she can kind of separate the two of them, like she did to Hulk. Talking
about the astral plane, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like when she hit him, and the two were kind of separated. And number two, maybe it's almost set up so that idea of. Lots of times people are like, well, maybe the best way, it may not always seem the best way, but you teach someone to get out their aggression in a way that's like either like karate or like mixed martial arts or things like that. And that helps them be less angry in their normal life if they can have this outlet in another way.
Yeah,
that's true.
We will learn more. I know that.
Yeah.
Like Wong's got to be in next week's episode.
Yeah.
Easily.
Well, it might not be. It probably will be, but maybe not. But I think what's interesting to me is a lot of people have speculated that Abomination is going to be a part of the Thunderbolts.
There you go.
And so that's where the connection for me, I wonder, like, okay, it seems like Wong, to some extent, is helping Abomination.
Yeah.
To helping Emil here. But if it's true that he's going to be a part of the Thunderbolts, does that mean that, like, we're going to see Val, like, slither her way in and kind of, convince him to join her? Or like... does it go much deeper than that? And we just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really intrigued to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think. So,
I mean, I could see Val coming in and, it's a life that maybe it's one of those things where even though he may want to change, he may only have so many options in life. And this is something that he is known as being kind of a black ops type of person.
Mercenary.
Yeah, like that type of person. That's what he was before he was Abomination. So, like, maybe joining in that group of the Thunderbolts will be, like, kind of him almost kind of falling back into his old life, but feeling like he has new purpose and that his purpose is in the right direction, whether it is or not. So maybe once again he is unfortunately falling maybe into a trap of being used again, even though he's hoping to not.
Can't break the cycle.
It just follows him wherever he goes.
Yeah. Which I mean would fit really well into the like kind of setup of the people that they're kind of building into this group. These people who want to do good but have been kind of manipulated in some way, whether it be U.S. Agent. Because, I mean, I think for the most part, I think U.S. Agent has always wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But he has been kind of told the wrong things. He's had moments where he's broken. I mean, even down to Yelena, who's, ever since she's been kind of broken of, her spell, basically, she's tried to do the right thing. Although she's been manipulated in certain ways as well, even through the Hawkeye series, where she was initially given incorrect information, and then, now Blonsky, you see someone who's rehabilitated himself, hopefully a little bit, and now he's getting, unfortunately, used again. So it's a very, like, you're seeing these patterns starting to build.
All the people that you mentioned are all dealing with the effects of a serum, a side effect, or a programming side effect with Yelena.
Yeah.
All of them have had their heads messed with. So, I mean, going into a team like the Thunderbolts, you feel like that's going to play a factor. Like, you think they're going to be questioning the motives of the people who recruited them, or do you that's how it's all going to play out? And I feel like watching the Emil and how this trial pans out, I think is going to be a big driving force in when the movie actually Thunderbolts comes out.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's like these type of people. You sometimes think of them as being super like skeptical, but lots of times it actually almost turns in the opposite way. Is that they get affection, and then they're like almost ultra loyal to these groups that show them some form of affection or care, because they've been messed with so much that it's almost creates a cycle of they continually give in to this idea because they want to believe that there is someone out there that is not trying to mess with them.
Okay.
Well, it was really interesting to see Blonsky again, and what do you guys think? So she goes back home. She calls Bruce, which we'll get to the phone call with Bruce in a minute. She then calls Holloway to let him know that she's taken on the case and she's committed. And then he says, you should turn on the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we see a viral video of Abomination in Asia. In what city was that? Do we know?
Was it Madripoor?
It wasn't
No.
Madripoor,
No,
not
it
in
was not.
Shaanxi. It was
Gosh,
Macau. Wasn't it Macau?
Yeah, it's wherever he went to visit his sister at.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so he's in that underground fighting ring or whatever, and on the news it looks like it just happened, like he escaped.
Like that's the timeline.
Like that's the timeline.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
what do we think about that?
I mean, I think he's been escaping, but it's been one of those things where up until this point they've been able to keep it under wraps. And I
It's
don't
an
even,
underground fight club. So
yeah, literally. I think this just happened to be. I think this is a direct effect of what happened in Shaanxi, in the sense that all the disruptions that they were making in that underground fight club led to the possibility of someone getting information in there and then releasing it out to the world. I think that's
Correct.
kind of what has happened.
Yep.
And that he may have been doing this for like 6 months even, like some type of idea like that, where he's been doing it for a while, but this is just the first time that it has gotten out to the world, in my mind.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see where kind of She-Hulk starts to connect with the actual MCU timeline, which the Shang-Chi viral video kind of gives us a really good point. But then, like, how far down will we go before we start seeing other connections with where other events are happening? So
Yep.
Well, I think with the whole potential appearance of Daredevil, that could help us figure things out in the sense that will he mention anything in the lines of Spider-Man? Like what, even like offhand, like, oh well, I represented Spider-Man in some form of way, and that'll give us a direct line to the No Way Home storyline. So you'll get. Okay, I'm wondering if we'll get some reaching out from there, or if he doesn't mention it at all, then you're kind of like, well, maybe he hasn't had that happen yet, and it's before that part of the timeline. So I think that could be a potential point where it like connects out to the rest of the MCU as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I mean, I think my wife mentioned to me, like, what if somebody was like holding on to that video and only now released it now that he's got a representative from like a legitimate law firm?
Okay. So some like, I don't know, sketchy stuff. is going
Yeah,
on.
and at first the only person I could think of is like Val. Like, what if she can get leverage over him somehow?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? One of her little minions in that underground fight club gets a video, holds on to the video for the right time.
I mean, it could be something like the lines. Maybe she set up something where she said Jamil's character set in motion something to where she knew that how people may react to that. And She-Hulks, they take her on, and then they use that to do with the Blonsky, release the Blonsky video to help try to get leverage on Blonsky as well. You know?
It goes deep, people, all right?
Yep.
Deeper than you realize, okay?
Yes.
I
Big
would
time.
like to mention probably the best line in the entire episode was when she was speaking to Bruce, and she brings up the line, he brings up the line, well, I was a completely different person back then, which is phenomenal because he was literally a different actor.
Yes, that was a good line. Very meta.
When he met Blonsky.
Yes.
That's true. That was great. Actually, good callback there.
Yeah, that was good.
Yep.
Also, something I caught. I don't know if you caught it.
I caught it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Are you going to talk about the laptop?
No.
Oh,
The
you're
laptop.
not? Oh, you guys didn't see this?
Well, you go.
You're talking about the advertisement?
Well, not just the advertisement, but she's looking for jobs, right? And she goes, there's an amusement park article, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the right-hand column where it says related articles, the very first article that she can click on, it says man with metal claws fighting bar.
Oh, yes.
I did hear about that. Yes.
Yes.
So
And that it referenced the
Eternals.
the Dead Celestial.
Yep.
in
Yeah.
there. So finally,
there's
a
acknowledgement.
reference.
Yeah.
Statue out of nowhere or something like that. Yeah. So we're getting some X-Men build. We're getting some acknowledgement for the Eternals movie. So
Okay.
yeah, there's
good stuff.
some things happening behind the scenes
Yeah,
here.
that's
in,
great.
In MCU.
I wasn't going there, but
Okay,
that's
all right.
great. I was going to the bar where Holloway buys her a drink, and he says, "Let me buy you a drink." And did you see the bottle that the bartender was holding?
Was it Pappy?
It was a bottle of Pappy.
Yep.
And I can't tell, some of our listeners and viewers won't know what this means. It's basically one of the most popular bottles of bourbon in the world. And I can't tell if it was the 15-year, the 20-year, or the 23-year. But that shot that he bought her could have been as much as like $200.
Wow.
You look on the bartender's face when he pulls it up. And
Yeah. He said, "Let me buy you a drink." And he's like, "Happy?" and then Holloway just kind of nods. And I'm like, gosh, can you imagine having that much money
Yeah.
to buy a potential couple $100 shot?
I mean, you could just write it off as a business expense because you're
Absolutely.
technically in a job interview at that point.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Always expensive, people.
Yep.
All right. Where's Hulk going?
Back to Sakar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would.
Yeah,
I would
Probably to
assume.
meet his child. Probably. That's where I'm gonna guess.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know where they're gonna put it. Maybe he hasn't met his child, or he has not met his, the mother of his child yet, or whatever the storyline may end up being.
He doesn't remember the 2 years he was there as Hulk.
It is true.
Or did he say that the memory is fused? Oh wait, no.
He
He did. He did
Oh,
say
yeah,
the
yeah,
memories
yeah.
are together now.
Okay.
But maybe
Yeah.
that's why he was so cool with the ship showing up, because he knows that maybe he secretly kind of wants to go back there because he does have a child there now, and he has a potential love interest. So that would be interesting to see if they're going to play out that relationship from the very beginning. Like, is it going to be like from like step one in Sakaar, or is it going to be him stepping back in and you're going to actually see him having a sort of life that he had on Sakaar in those 2 years.
That's where I think it's going.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it could be new. There could be no child
Yeah.
involved at all.
Sure.
He could be
That's true.
being called back to Sakaar to
Yeah.
I don't know, help with the situation because he made some friends there.
He's a former
Yeah.
champion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
Grand champion of Sakaar.
I mean, yeah, they're in current political turmoil. I would assume because of the kind of fall of the Grand Master. So, but it would be really interesting to see, how that sets up with the Grand Master still being around potentially. What they're going to do
Which
with
would be
that,
great.
which would be it would be
More Jeff
phenomenal.
Goldblum, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Please.
I mean,
Make it happen.
yeah, we need more Jeff Goldblum in our lives.
don't we all? Don't we all? Okay. I just realized we both did the same thing with our
I
hands.
had
so
to
you
change.
had to change
I
it.
immediately had to change it. I don't.
Oh my gosh, this whole video thing is really new for us people.
What do I do with my hands?
Really though, we appreciate you guys checking us out on YouTube and these videos, and help us to grow the Royal Geek Podcast. Please subscribe, like the video, hit subscribe. That helps us out tremendously. Share this podcast with your friends. That also helps us out very much. And come on back. We are going to be reviewing more of She-Hulk and many other things in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, and I will say, editing video is a little bit tougher, so the video probably will come out on Monday, but the audio will still drop on Saturdays.
Okay.
So just
Sweet.
throwing that
Yep.
out there.
Do
lots
better.
going in, lots of going into editing.
Do better.
I can't be up at 4 a.m. every single day.
Yes,
Do
you
better.
can.
I try.
It's called alarm.
Yeah,
Justin.
and yes, I do want to acknowledge that like the audio on the video that we dropped last week was not the quality. We had a computer issue,
And we're praying that it's not going to be that way this week.
Yes, so that's a little behind the scenes. Everybody starts somewhere, right? So throw us a bone, all right? Come back, listen. I'm hoping the audio is crisp this time. So
Amen to that. All right.
Crisp.
Well, with that in mind, again, thank you to all of our listeners. Come on back next week. We're going to be reviewing episode 3 of She-Hulk. For my good friends, Sandy, Shamato, and Applezax, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening and watching the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.